about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all had an awesome Christmas and Happy New Year. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Well, we're coming in. This is New Year's week. They say this week is one of the best for our mental health. I don't know. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Many of us are kind of reflecting on 2025, and then we're thinking ahead and trying to predict what we're going to see in 2026. 2025 was, we forget it's been almost a year, but we had the Pacific Palisades fires. We had new president, or Trump coming back, historic. We had the Hamas finally released the hostages. That was huge this year, where the hostages came back, but sadly, only 20 of them living, but a milestone in the start to the end of that conflict. We had gas prices go down, egg prices go down, food prices go down, but houses still high, economy still waxing and waning. Record stock market hits, but then like today, stock market's falling. So there's been some drama with that, the Charlie Kirk murder, the controversy over deportation, and it's just been drama. It's been drama, but there were some good things and there were some bad things. We lost a pope. It's interesting when I reflect on the year. I go, gosh, that felt like so long ago, but it just happened. We have a new pope. Now, one thing I'm learning in life is, with everything bad comes something good, but you don't want the bad stuff. And maybe it's because that's how you look at things. You're like, well, there's a silver lining, or we try to, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. But, each year, I predict that we're going to have drama. But I never expect that it's going to be more dramatic than it was in 2020. I had done predictions in 2019, and I knew 2020 something was going to be up. I didn't know it was going to be COVID, and who knew that the drama could even supersede everything that happened with that. But 2026 is coming, and I think a lot of good things happened this year, but also a lot of bad things happened. And so is 2026 going to build on the good? Is it going to double down on the drama? Right now, I'm expecting drama. And the reason why is we got the midterms. But that might help. That might be good, because one thing that the Republicans want to do is try to avoid a blue wave. And a blue wave is anticipated, which always seems to happen at the midterms whenever a Republican and there's a red wave at an election. And so one thing that I'm noticing that the Republicans want to do is show that we are doing better financially. And so military got money, 1,776. They deserve even more, but it's great that they got that money. The big, beautiful bill is promising a lot of tax rebates, tax credits, gas prices going down. So I think what's going to happen is the Republicans are going to be a lot about, do you have more money in your pocket? Are you doing better financially? Minimum wage is going up in multiple states. So I think we're going to see more money coming into our pockets. Are we going to be spending more? Absolutely. Airlines are going to spank us for what happened with that shutdown, and already we're seeing airlines and the prices go up. We're going to see definitely a big spike in tourism costs as we're getting ready, especially in California for the Olympics. And people are going to try to grab what they could get before AI causes them to lose their job. I am expecting a lot of layoffs in 2026. And because it's an election year or a midterm election year, we are going to be bombarded with ads and billboards and negativity, and I'm just not looking forward to it. I hate election years. There's such a focus from these politicians on the election that they don't seem to be really focusing on doing their job. And that's kind of what I really, really want to see. And so, unfortunately, it's all going to be about, well, I have an election coming up, so I got to get on camera and I got to say this and I got to do this and I'd rather see results. So it is going to be interesting to see what happens. Even though it's way too early, people are predicting that the Republicans will still hold the Senate, but they'll lose the House. Does that mean more gets done or does that mean less gets done? But the big, beautiful bill, if what was advertised in that and promoted in that, does come to fruition, that could be, pretty financially lucrative. So that might be positive for people. We're also going to see big changes as it pertains to infectious disease. All right. I am noticing with flu, so many people have been anti-vaccine because they've been just after. And we predicted this with the COVID vaccine mandate. You had people say, to hell with this. I'm done. That I am predicting we are going to see a surge. We will be talking about a little bit later what we're seeing with the flu. We are seeing the flu surge despite some people getting vaccinated. But you're having a lot of people who were vaccinated with the flu say, I don't have a lot of high hopes for vaccines. And unfortunately, we're going to be losing some of people's, shall we say, enthusiasm as well as trust in the vaccination system. I'm telling you, you could still trust it, even if it staves off the flu at 14% or 16% effective. That's still something. But we are going to see people lose, and understandably so. Once you start mandating something for political gains, you're gonna get some blowback. So from a infectious disease standpoint, we are going to see, I think, more surges, and we're going to probably even be seeing some more of these things that we vaccinated for sadly come back. I hope not. We're also going to see some more antibiotic resistance because everybody and their mother is asking for Z-Paks and antibiotics online, and they're getting them. And we're going to see, I think, also a big surge in antibiotic resistance. In terms of world peace, not sure if we're going to see world peace, but I do predict that Trump will be able to get the Ukraine-Russian war maybe not completely over. It might still smolder a little bit, but I think he's going to make some big movements on that. So I'm excited about that. So we'll see. I mean, I'm excited about 2026 in one respect, but then I don't want the drama. And sadly, we're going to see drama. 1-877-Doc-Dolly. Don't go away. Back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Jason, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So you don't have to necessarily work for a big media outlet to be an investigator. And in fact, I'm noticing that the public is kind of liking some of these independent journalists because they're not burdened by the bias that some of the media outlets for whom they work is encumbering them with. I dangled a participle. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to dangle a participle. And so what has gotten a lot of attention are the Nick Shirley videos. So Nick Shirley is an independent investigator, from what we understand, an independent journalist, and he has published a lot of videos. He used to, I guess, do prank videos. I haven't really been following his work, but I know of him. And now he's doing investigative work. And he has exposed issues with the border, trafficking, corruption, and apparently what he is now being very cited for, cited in terms of journalistic citing, are his videos that are showing just a tip of the iceberg of some of the fraud that has been uncovered in Minnesota as it pertains to state funds. And so Kash Patel is responding to these videos that he's seen. And he is saying that these cases that have already been prosecuted are just the tip of the iceberg. And he shared a statement on X on Sunday discussing the FBI's efforts to dismantle these large-scale fraud schemes exploiting federal programs. And he referred to these recent social media reports in Minnesota. This YouTuber, Nick Shirley, I haven't seen all of the videos, but the videos you see, he goes to these daycares and he goes, "Where's the kids?" I mean, you see the sign. There's some individuals there, rumored to be of Somali descent, but I can't confirm that. But there are individuals at these locations, and they're advertising that they're a daycare. And he goes, "Where's the kids? I don't see any kids." And then he's asking whoever is answering the door or at the front desk where the millions of dollars have gone. And they don't answer. They yell at him. They tell him to go back. And it's just a simple, I'm not a fan of somebody trapping you and taking videos of you when you're not looking and then splicing the dialogue. I'm not a fan of that. But I am a fan of, look, I'm here to ask some questions. You don't have to answer the questions. And he even said, "I'm not investigating you. I'm just asking a simple question. Where are the kids?" And that's really all he needs to do. This is a daycare, allegedly getting tons of funds, millions of dollars from the state. There's a sign, but it doesn't look like a daycare. So the YouTuber claims that he has uncovered $110 million in fraud at child care providers during a recent trip to Minnesota. He's not from Minnesota. Now, one center, I guess, that he's already gone to has been previously investigated. But from what we understand, his information is adding to the trove of information that the FBI has been collecting. And the Feeding Our Future charity is one of the ones that is under the scrutinous eye of where did the money go. According to Kash Patel, these criminals didn't just engage in historic fraud, but tried to subvert justice as well. Those responsible pleaded guilty and were sentenced, including a 20-year prison term and nearly $48 million in restitution in related cases. Now, Fox 9, who is reporting this, has done extensive reporting on the prosecution of the fraud, including the massive Feeding Our Future scheme. Apparently, this dates back to 2022. According to Fox 9, they said, along with our extensive years-long coverage of our Feeding Our Future scheme, Fox 9 has also looked into fraud cases connected to the fraud, like the housing stabilization or fraud against the housing stabilization program, an autism program, and more recently charges filed against an integrated community services program. So how does this affect you? How does this affect, well, one is we have been told that we are running out of Medicaid funds. We don't have enough funds to fund Social Security. Those individuals that have been putting money into the system for years, working, expecting that they will be taken care of by the government and are now only getting $1,200 a month that can barely cover rent. When money gets, when the demand exceeds supply, people suffer. And we're seeing, children suffer. We're seeing those who are underserved suffer. We're seeing seniors suffer, even if they're in an unrelated program. And $18 billion suspected just in Minnesota alone to have been at risk for this fraud. Now, Governor Walz has said that he is cooperating and he is, but he has pushed back on the number amount, saying that there wasn't enough evidence that fraud against the state is that rampant. But he does say that, he is going to, support the arrests. It's just somebody has to work a little faster. And then also, because this got uncovered in Minnesota, what's going on in other states? We have multiple other states getting funds. And so my concern is we have, unfortunately, not enough of these programs for what we need. And we have a demand that isn't being verified. We know there's kids who are starving. We know but we haven't been verifying and double checking and cross checking. It's interesting with Gaza. UN did a report recently saying the famine isn't as severe as was, recently purported. And Israel is saying they didn't even count the food that we had been dropping, and we've been driving in, and we've been, that food has gotten into Gaza. But whoever makes the report, if they're not doing the scientific method properly and being open and transparent about all the data and using all the data, it only gives a small sliver of what's going on. Well, we need to know, are people in Gaza starving or not? Are the people getting the food from the Israelis getting fed, but is Hamas and holdouts for Hamas preventing food from getting to people so they could show pictures of starving kids? What are we really getting the true story? And so with this situation, it's frustrating to think something like this could have gone on so long. I'm blown away at how you'll hear of doctors that have committed Medicare or Medicaid fraud. Medicare and Medicaid, they don't like to pay. I mean, that's one thing I learned when I saw patients. I mean, I would be submitting claims multiple times, submitting records, whatever they needed, and I probably got paid on 2 out of every 5 claims. Yet there's individuals who are able to somehow get money out of these government agencies. I always thought it was harder, to commit fraud with those companies because they barely pay. But some people figure it out. And to see such a laundering scheme that could be going back to Somalia and going back to the country where many of these people came from, and then it mars a population where you had wolves in sheep's clothing. You have a lot of innocent people in that population, but now because of this, you have people guilty by association, and it's a mess. It's going to turn into a real mess. And we're being told by Kash Patel that the FBI has dismantled a $250 million fraud scheme that stole federal food aid meant for vulnerable children during COVID. The investigation exposed sham vendors, shell companies, large-scale money laundering tied to the Feeding Our Future network. Now, they had 78 indictments, 57 convictions, including Abdi Wahab, Ahmed Mohammed, Ahmed Ali, Hussein Farah, and he names a bunch of people. But if that money went to another country, are we going to get it back? Are we going to get this money back? Now, we're being told some of the money got spent on jewelry, got spent on trips, telling them that they got to pay the millions of dollars back if they don't have them, or if they spent it. I mean, I want that money back. And I don't think we're going to get it back. And I also want to make sure that all these other programs that are out there, the legitimate ones, still get the money that they deserve and need. But the ones that unfortunately defrauded America, they get. I mean, I don't even think jail's enough. I mean, this is bad, and it's frustrating that kids. They pretended to feed kids. They pretended they're taking care of kids. And there's no way this is the only one. So we'll keep you posted as this unfolds. My worry is there's going to be more, but good for Nick Shirley and other independent investigators who are helping the FBI. Now, I mean, sometimes it could hurt the case. Now, so you got to be careful. I mean, the FBI is not asking for people to go out there and do your own investigations. I mean, you unfortunately, you can have some individuals now who are committing the fraud quickly try to cover up their tracks while the FBI knows how to be a little bit more covert. But good for Nick Shirley and other people for exposing this. 1-877 Doc Dolly. Don't go away.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So one of the questions I got from my listeners is, he's been single for a while, and how does he go out there? And he's in his 30s, but he's been single chronically. And how do you get a girlfriend? How do you get a boyfriend? How do you get a date when you have been single for so long? And it's interesting because we're coming up on the new year. And so some of your New Year's resolutions, and we always talk about New Year's resolutions because I know we can't stand talking about them, but we have to. But one of the New Year's resolutions that some of you have is, I'm done being single. I am going to find a husband or wife or a partner or a boyfriend, girlfriend. And so how do you do that? If you've been home, if you've been single since COVID, how do you go out there and have dateability, have likability? Do you even know what some of the latest dating trends are? They have new sex moves now. I couldn't. If Corey ever left me, I am like too old school. I'm too like in the 90s. I'd be like, are you going to get jiggy with me? Can't. There's like no way I would ever get a date. I'd be in trouble. But so first and foremost, okay, if you have been off the market for a while and you are thinking that you're a little dusty, you got to dust yourself off. Now, what do you do when you dust something off? Well, you clean it up, you make it shiny again, and all of a sudden it looks good. So you got to get your confidence back. If you have been single and you've been on your own and you've talked yourself into it, you got to remove the dust because you have already started to encase yourself like an abscess. Yeah, I am still a doctor. I am going to use medical metaphors. And so if you, let's say, are, still wearing clothes from I'm wearing a new shirt. I am. Thank you for noticing. Yeah, this is new. But most of my clothes, it's because, if I only wear them once a week, once a month, I'm not going to throw them out. I need to save money. So I rewear clothes. But, if that helps your confidence, get a couple, pieces of new clothing. I'm sure there'll be some after Christmas sales. All right. Get a haircut. Get a shave. And not, something old. I remember mullets and didn't Mohawks come back around COVID, no mohawk, okay? Try to do something more 2025, 2026, but give yourself a little bit of confidence. Get yourself like a little makeover. It doesn't have to cost too much. Many hairstylists know what is trending. So if you're like, I don't know what to do with my hair, they know what's trending, can give you options, that kind of thing. So it gives you a little bit of confidence. Then the dating app idea might be old school. A lot of people still use dating apps, but for those of you that have been, you've been complaining that you're looking for jobs and LinkedIn and Indeed, and it's just you just keep getting rejected. For those of you feeling that already the whole cyber world is cluttered and you're not going to stand out, You need to understand that you can still do the dating apps, but if you feel like the dating apps are done and exhausted and you're not going to stand out, that's not your only option. You could do old school. Now, how I found dates is it doesn't exist anymore. But I went to UNLV, so in college it's a little easier. But I didn't meet people in class. I went to the sports pub. There was a place called the Sports Pub. I went there so much that I could claim it as a dependent on my taxes. And it was right across the street. I don't know if it still exists. I don't think it still exists. But I'd go to the sports pub or the Shark Tank or drink or whatever. But I would go to some of the clubs. Now, of course, you don't want to go to the college hangouts, if you're older. That'll look creepy. But one thing I noticed is if there were those abilities to get out there and hang out, that's important. And it gives you that opportunity to, one, meet people, be social, have fun. It doesn't mean you're going out there to hook up. Don't go to a bar or don't go to a party with the goal of, I got to hook up with somebody. Just go there to be social. Another thing, too, is you need to expand your friend pool, because many people are finding their future mate or their future date or whoever because somebody knows somebody who's single. So if you've been kind of by yourself and you only have 2 or 3 friends, they aren't networked. But if you go out there, maybe you take a class, maybe you join, a church function or a young professionals group or something like that, or a middle-aged group. For me, not only would me be middle-aged, but I'm getting close to, I might have to join, a sexy senior group. I don't know what I would do. I really don't know what I would do. But if you are social, even if it's, look, I'm going to take a couple classes, or I'm going to do some, hands-on things, or I'm going to join a hiking club. It's not that you're going to date somebody in that hiking club. But that hiking club, that person might have a sister or might have a niece or a nephew, who hopefully of age. And so you see where I'm saying you got to expand. You got to think back to how dating was easier when you were younger. And why was it easier? Because you were around so many other people and you had more friends and somebody knew somebody. Another thing you got to dust off is the pro-single attitude. That gets picked up pretty quickly. So if you have been single and you're like, I don't need somebody. I got to tell you, these people are crazy. They spend your money. And I understand you do want to make lemons out of, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I get that you want to kind of look at what you're doing and giving yourself positive reinforcement so you don't feel bad. And honestly, people who choose a single life and that's what they like, I don't blame you. If that's what you prefer, go for it. It's not easy having a partner. But if you just talked yourself into it, you're going to have to clean some of that off. Because if you do meet somebody and they go, oh, okay, so do you have a boyfriend or girlfriend? Or, oh, no, I've been single for years and loving it. Well, okay, nice to meet you, right? You got to be careful. And, you need to, but you also don't want to look too eager. Going, I've been single for so long, gosh, I'm just, I'm ready to jump into bed with somebody. Now, there are some people that want that, but I think the average person is also looking for what you're looking for. And that's one of the biggest piece of advice. No, you're not alone. There are tons of people out there that are single. Tom Brady is single. Now, he is who I would reach out to. In fact, I could see his home. He's in a fancy neighborhood, but I could see his home from where I live. And so, I've been walking around in my underwear a little bit more in the neighborhood, hoping to catch his eye. Although I really should stop doing that because that can make him sick. But there's a lot of people who are single, and don't be embarrassed about. Look at what happened to Tom Brady. Tom Brady was with Gazelle. Do you pronounce it Gazelle or Giselle? Right? She was dating her was it Taekwondo or her jiu-jitsu coach? They end up falling in love. They end up getting married. She has a baby with him. Good for her for finding love, but that had to be pretty embarrassing for Tom Brady. And he's fine. He's not embarrassed. He's moving on with his life. He's got his Super Bowl rings. He's got his Fox, which I think he does a really good job with Fox. I like hearing his. He could coach any football team he wants. He's got some really, really good insight. But Jennifer Aniston, she got cheated on. Brad Pitt starts dating Angelina Jolie, ends up leaving Jennifer Aniston. I mean, it's being single doesn't happen to just those of us that aren't 10s. It happens to 10s and superstars too. And we're all a 10 in our own way. Now, in fact, we really put too much, we give too much credit to some of these stars and all that, thinking, well, gosh, if they can't find love, we can't. Well, if they can't find love because they're workaholics or they're always dieting or they're grumpy or they're demanding or they're always flirted with, no, don't compare yourself to that. So start out slow. The idea of I'm going to get a boyfriend or girlfriend this year, no. Just, I'm going to go on a date. I'm going to go on a date. That's easy. And it doesn't even have to be a date where you spend a lot of money. It could be, we'll meet at the park. Well, if you both have dogs, that's a fantastic way. I mean, I got Snort and Ooze and so take them to the park. Although the only problem is I yell at them a lot. I'm like, stop it! Did you go? No, you're poo-pooing on the leash. Will you? Oh my God! So I don't want anybody to see that part of me because I yell at the dogs a lot. So be nice. Don't pee-pee in their yard. But just start out. Coffee. I'll have more advice for you later in the month, but just, start out slow, but it is possible. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. We are back on the Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So a new winter storm is moving east today. Dangerous winds, snow, and ice affecting millions. Apparently, according to ABC News, winds up to 45 miles per hour are possible in Iowa and Illinois and Indiana and Ohio and Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Minnesota. Under warnings, Iowa, Wisconsin, just winds in Cleveland, Ohio, and Michigan. And just when you're looking at some of the snow that the back east may get as well, with anywhere from 4 to 7/10 of an inch of ice. Oh, I thought it was going to be 4 to 7 inches. Well, they say 4 to 7/10 of an inch. That's still a lot. It's still going to be pretty dangerous. This time of year, I usually like to urge you guys to be careful with the cold. And we're coming up on New Year's. And with New Year's, it's fun, but it's cold outside. It's cold. And so I want to make sure that we are not missing potential hypothermia. The CDC estimates that 1,500 deaths occur each year due to hypothermia. So what is hypothermia? Well, it's where you have a dangerous drop in your body temperature, and it could occur within minutes. Now, the average temperature is about 98.6. They're changing that. Remember, there was a study going, we think that 98.6 needs to be adjusted, but for this purpose, roughly 98.6. Hypothermia can start setting in when you start to drop to 95 degrees. You might start to shiver, have an increased respiratory rate, increased heart rate, even seem confused. Your sugar and glucose stores get used up so quickly that you could also get hypoglycemic. That makes matters worse. And then, because you're cold, you could start getting frostbite. What happens with frostbite is blood flow decreases, to the periphery and shunts blood to the central. So your body wants warm blood protecting the heart, the brain, the internal organs. So it doesn't really care that much about your ears. They're lower on the priority, your fingertips, your nose, and your toes. So unfortunately, you could then start getting frostbite. Early symptoms of hypothermia include shivering, inability to dress or remove clothing because you don't have the dexterity of your fingers because they don't have the blood flow. You might have difficulty walking, difficulty speaking. You might just seem apathetic. So if you're with your buddy on New Year's and you think they're drunk, realize they might actually be hypothermic. As hypothermia progresses and you start to shiver, etc., then you start to get worse shivering, worse muscle contractions. Why? Because the body's trying to generate heat. Your skin and lips could become pale because they're not getting blood. You might start to get more confused. This could then lead to severe hypothermia, in which you could, God forbid, get heart failure, respiratory failure, go into a coma, and if not reversed, you could die. So hypothermia could look like somebody being drunk. They might slur their speech, confuse their words, stammer around, have slow reaction time. They may be like, I'm hungry. They may seem tired. They may seem uncoordinated. And you're like, dude, yeah, you're drunk. But if they're hypothermic, they could be dying within minutes. So if you suspect hypothermia, you got to call for medical assistance. Anyone you think who's eliciting signs of this, you got to bring them indoors. You got to put them in dry clothes. Don't let them get wet. Cover them in warm blankets and wait for the paramedics to arrive. You want to warm the central parts of the body first, like the head, the neck, the chest, the groin area. Now, be very careful. Don't be using like electric blankets onto the skin. Make sure there's a cover. Because unfortunately, if the skin is already hypoperfused, you could burn the skin pretty easily. And so you want to make sure that you're not worsening a situation. But if you have a barrier of clothes, you could, you just want to try to warm them up. Now, we do have to be careful with hot water. Do not douse or put somebody in hot water. Hot water could be too caustic. It could cause burns. Remember, the body is shunting blood away from the ears, the fingers, the toes, the hands, the feet, penis as well. Wasn't there last Olympics an Olympian who got frostbite on his penis? He was he was doing the decathlon, I think, or one of the skiing events. Anyway, so that as well, you have to kind of be aware of. Alcohol will increase your risk of hypothermia. Why? Well, because you're dancing, you're getting wet, you're sweating, you might not be bundling up. For those of us who dress up on New Year's Eve with our short skirts and our high heels, and that's not, we're not going to be doing earmuffs and big Gore-Tex jackets if we're trying to look all sexy and fun. But if you're standing outside to watch drone shows or fireworks, or you're going to be very poorly and inadequately prepared. So you got to get that. You have to change your outfit. Wear multiple layers of clothing. Know your local weather ahead of time. Bring an extra pair of dry socks. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we might be actually getting rain around New Year's. I wish we would get snow. You know how much rain we got around Christmas? We could have had a white Christmas in Las Vegas, Nevada. But what happens in Las Vegas is when it gets really, really cold, we don't seem to have any precipitation. When we do have precipitation, it's when the weather is not cold enough for snow or ice. It really sucks. I wanted a white Christmas so badly. But anyway, if, however, it is going to be around New Year's and there's rain or ice or wherever you're at, make sure you have an extra pair of dry socks. Avoid getting wet. Don't fall off a boat. Don't get splashed with champagne. Have an extra pair of clothes. You can change your clothes if you get worked up. You sweat while dancing. Also, check with your medical provider about certain medical conditions that might affect the way your medications act in the cold, like hypothyroid conditions and your thyroid medication, narcotics, sedatives. They could put you at risk for hypothermia. Don't drink and get drunk. You got to avoid alcohol intoxication. The more you drink, the worse it is. And then keep an eye on your vulnerable buddies, your kids, your older individuals, those with intellectual disabilities. So I was camping. We were camping with our buddies, it was like a year or two ago. And there was snow and all that. And, my dog has a nice fur coat on her. And we were just kind of out there. And I noticed she was getting quiet. And even though I'm by the fire and she's by the fire and all that, she was awfully quiet, and I don't think she was tired. She could have been getting cold. So you got to realize that sometimes your pets just stay quiet and watch you, and they don't, realize that you're not thinking of them first. So understand that you could have vulnerable individuals out there. Okay, hold on. I want to take a look up this Olympian who sadly, according to Reuters, it was a 24-year-old. I don't know if we have his name, but that's okay. It happened in Lindholm. Let me see. Oh, there was Finnish skier Remi Lindholm. reportedly suffered frostbite in the 2022 Winter Olympics. He had a 1 hour, 16-minute cross-country ski race. Now, he was in ski clothes, but unfortunately, he froze his penis. And so it's possible. So frostbite, what are the degrees? I'm teaching you guys something today. What are the different degrees of frostbite? Well, your first degree is where you start to get pale. You have pallor, early change in skin, where it might turn white, red, or blue. You might get some tingling. You might get some numbness. It might feel a little prickly where your ears or nose or fingers feel prickly. And then your body parts might feel cold. That's kind of first degree. Your second degree happens when your first degree progresses. And then your lips start getting blue. Your skin color may be more white, blue, or red. You might have more paleness or pallor. Your skin might start looking waxy or firm. You might start getting blisters when you rewarm or thaw the skin. You'll get stinging, swelling, a burning sensation. And then severe frostbite can cause permanent tissue damage. You might get bluish or gray or black skin where the skin is starting to necrose, severe blisters. You might be going numb. And what's really interesting is we could tell if somebody we find dead in the desert had hypothermia because many of them will be naked and their clothes will be close by. And if they don't have evidence of assault, because when somebody is going through severe hypothermia, and severe frostbite, they start to get so clothes are painful that they take off their clothes or they feel this paradoxical heat. So we treat you by rewarming your body, hyperbaric oxygen, anti-clotting agents, sometimes pain medication. But if, God forbid, you do get, any of these symptoms, get yourself to a medical provider immediately. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95.
Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.